recording if you need it as well. So we had, I mean, we had over 50 teams compete in our qualifying round. And this is the second or third year we've done the qualifying round. And then the state finals has invited the top 10 teams in each division. So your kids have beat out those other teams to be able to participate. Somebody else is here. Let me let them in to be invited to this challenge. So that is just really super awesome. And so I'm going to talk about the day of, and any questions you have, again, put them in the chat or you can follow up. And Angie, welcome. This is also another rookie school. We have two schools that are qualified for the Quiz Bowl that have never participated as well. So some of you have students in both the case study competitions that are happening in the morning and the quiz bowls. Well, some of you have students only in one or the other. So you have received the announcement for what competitions your team's qualified for. So the schedule for the day is for the full morning and afternoon. So I'm going to kind of just look at that real quick with you. If your teams, and hi Megan, if your team is participating in just the quiz bowl, then you have a different time that you can arrive for us. But the team check-in time is pretty important because we will have somebody at a check-in table, but not for the full morning. So if you have some kind of circumstance where you need to arrive late, I really need to know now, because also we've already made the schedule and there are 4 different rounds. So for example, some teams I won't give that schedule to you until the day of. So some teams will compete right away at 9 o'clock, while others are to report at 9:30, especially if you are coming with multiple teams. So we are not releasing that schedule to the day of. So we are asking all teams to check in at 8:45. It needs an adult that checks them in. So you are preferred because we'd like you there and we want you to be here with us and you know your students. But we know there are such circumstances where perhaps somebody is on your behalf bringing the students. So it does need to be, they do need to have some kind of adult chaperone that is chaperoning them, helping them stay on track, because we will give information to that adult. Hopefully you or whatever adult checks them in. When you check your teams in, you'll receive a folder that has been prepared for you. And in that folder will have the competition schedule for your teams for that day. It will also have a map of the campus. It will have a couple other fun things I'm going to talk about, that just some activity kind of things that are optional but fun for the kids while they're in between competitions. So team check-in, it will be me and another volunteer that will be providing that folder to whoever is checking them in. You have also been sent, and you may have received them, I'd love to know, a packet of thank you notes. Did anybody receive those? Okay, that's a new thing for us. And we have over 45 volunteers. 35 of them are judges. And we really just they love to hear from kids. They really like a personal thank you. And our day goes so fast that there's just not a lot of time to do that then. So we really love for your students to write a handwritten thank you. And the instructions you receive have some suggestions of prompts or just some ideas for them. If you would put those back in the envelope and bring it with you when you check in, that you can give those. If you want to add anything in there, they want to, I don't know, other little special things, your school has something you want to give them, you're welcome to do that. But the thank you notes would be great. So when you check in, you will hand that to me. I'm going to pause there. Any questions just about check-in? I'm going to give you a map of the campus in a second.
Hi, Kathy. My question, I think you already answered. I just want to double check. So if they're only doing the quiz bowl, they don't have to come at 8:45. They can come later on.
Yes, so there are a couple of you, and now like Richard, you have some teams that are there in the morning, but a team that's doing the quiz bowl. So yes, if you have, and there's a couple of you, if you have a team that is just participating in the quiz bowl, we ask that they check in by 11. But I do need to know that, and I hear you telling me that because we need someone at the check-in table. We will not have someone at the check-in table all morning, but we need them to check in by 11, if they're going to check in earlier, text me. You guys all have my cell phone number, and we'll have someone come down to the check-in table. The reason for that is that the quiz bowl afternoon starts at noon, and it flows. It's a program. So their quiz, I'm going to show you that in a minute, or you can see that there in the bottom. We will start promptly at 12 in an upstairs location, like a large presentation room. So if you can check in by 11, we will have lunch at 11. There'll be kind of in between the morning competitions and the quiz bowl round. If your students are only in the afternoon competition, yes, please have them check in by 11. Does that answer that question, Richard? And if you're already there and you just want to meet them and check them in, yeah, it still needs to be an adult, but yes, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll be there. It's just they were asking me what time they should come. That's fine.
Sure.
Thank you.
Other questions about check-in? Okay, so then the competition, economics critical thinking is our high school. So Adam Smith, that's all high school division. The students that have taken advanced placement economics are considered Adam Smith division. The students that are in regular econ are in the David Ricardo division. So they're competing. We have 12 teams competing in the economics critical thinking. You will be given a schedule for them. They will need to report to the classroom that is on the schedule, and they will have 30 minutes to prepare. And I'm going to talk about that competition in just a minute. And then they will go to another classroom, be escorted by one of our volunteers to present to their judges. Those teams will be done by 11:05. But again, if you have one team, they're presenting somewhere in there. If you have a personal finance case study teams, presentations begin at 9 and they will be done by 11:30. So you will receive a schedule for what time your students are to report to the room that they have been scheduled. When they're not in a competition room, we will have two different types of games for them. We will have our cornhole game, which was very popular last year. And we will have, okay, I'm gonna admit this person. So we will have last year, if you were at the Red Mountain, Mesa Community College Red Mountain campus is a nice intimate campus. It's not super spread out. I'm going to show you the map in a minute. So everything's very close. So we'll have some student activities. One of them is the cornhole activity, and another one is kind of what we're calling like a choice board. It's sort of a social networking kind of activity where they're going to meet other students in like a bingo board, find someone with your birthday, and they mark the box. And it's just a way to have them meet other people throughout the day. And I'll give you guys the instructions for that. That will be in your folder. You will have raffle tickets that you can give to your students as they participate. If they're doing something fantastic, you will give them and I'll tell you the directions. It's the kind where you keep half and they get half. So you will have so many raffle tickets to encourage them to participate in those activities, get to know some other students. And then we will collect those raffle tickets upstairs when we start the afternoon activities. I will collect them from you. And I know Todd's joining us. Welcome, Todd. Lunch is going to be outside and available, but lunch this year is sandwich options. We're trying to accommodate needs of students that, are vegetarians or can't eat pork or have certain dietary needs. And so lunch is from Firehouse Subs. They are they're platters. We'll have someone there telling the kids that there's 2 little 3-inch ones per person. It's not unlimited, but it'll be a nice sandwich. The 3-inch ones, there's 2 per person, chips and a cookie. And we encourage the students to bring a water bottle. It's getting a little warm. There are hydration stations on the campus. We will have some water bottles, but it will likely be 1 per participant. And so we'd like to encourage the students to bring water bottles. So I'm going to pause there if there's questions about the schedule for their competition or what they do in the morning when they're not competing or lunch. Okay, no questions there? Okay, and you guys have received this day of agenda, but I'm going to make sure that I give it to you again as well.
Sorry, Kathy.
Yeah, no, please.
I did have one question. I wasn't sure if you're going to answer this later on anyway or not. The teams that are doing the quiz bowl, do they automatically get entered into the critical thinking, or because it's the combined score from those 2 for the state
Okay,
championship.
great
Is that right?
question. So those of you that have a team in the case study and the quiz bowl, I'm going to have you hang with me at the end. But yes, so many schools that's how they qualify to be the state champion and I'm going to talk about that towards the end. For those of you that have specifically at the high school level, how we determine our state champions. So if they are in the critical thinking and the quiz bowl, they're competing in both, and you'll have a schedule that accommodates that. Okay. Middle school, I think that applies to the personal finance, but you'll have a schedule for the case study presentation portion and then the quiz bowl. Good question. So the quiz bowl is the afternoon portion, and I can show you who's in the quiz bowl. We already know, but we're starting with the econ quiz bowls. We have a Voya. Voya is sponsoring our personal finance high school portion, and it's been a fantastic financial sponsorship, and they have one of their executives that is going to be our keynote. So he's going to come talk to the students and just get them excited and talk about the importance of this kind of competition. So it does start at 12, and you see that Braden Marsh is the keynote. And then we will be in this order. And I want to talk about the quiz bowls in just a minute, but please make sure you're reviewing the rules and the quiz bowl procedures. It is a little different than in the past. And we are trying to do what the national competitions do. So that's the format that we've gone to and I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but please make sure you practice with them according to the procedures that you have been given at the quiz bowl procedures. So middle school econ will start. David Ricardo is the high school division of students that have taken regular level economics, and then Adam Smith. And then we'll move right into the personal finance quiz bowl and the awards ceremony. So we ask that the awards will be given at 2:15. We will conclude by 2:45. So we do ask that if you're staying for the afternoon, that you stay through the awards ceremony. We know that some of you are only doing the morning, but we won't give the awards for that competition until 2:15. Any questions there? Yeah, Greg.
Hey, Kathy, I was wondering, are you able to tell us the teams that are in those quiz bowls?
I can show you that in a minute. You got it.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
For sure. So any others while I move on to the map? Don't let me forget. Okay, so and again, just keep asking those questions. So here is a map. I believe I've already sent it to you guys. This is a map of the Mesa Community College Red Mountain campus, and the address is 7110 East McKellips Road. And if you've not been to this campus, this is the main entrance. So it feels a little deceptive, like you're going to keep going up to the straight through to this loop. You're actually going to go and take a left and go over to the west part of the campus. And there's plenty of parking here. It's a really pretty, like I said, small campus. They don't have classes on Friday. I don't know how they got out of that, but there's not going to be students on campus. So the kids will have, it's really just ability for them to feel what it's like to be on a junior college, a community college campus. It has a very pretty nature area. And this is the whole area is I can pretty much see it by standing in this loop. I can see all these buildings. So you're going to see a check-in table. This is if you have buses that are dropping students off, they can come in this drive, or vans, or whatever. They can come in this drive and drop the students off and then park here. So any questions about that? If you have any students with needs that might have some kind of physical limitations or have some other kind of need we need to know about, please let me know. But there are some stairs, but there's elevators. So the economics critical thinking competition is in the Palo Verde building, and you will have a map that day. You will know the room numbers. The personal finance competitions. No, I got it. I think I have that backwards, but let me look at my next map. Yeah, I'm so sorry. The economics is in the Saguaro building. Economics competitions will be over here. We were not in that building last year. It's a real nice, pretty building. Personal finance is in the Palo Verde building. But you will check in with me by this loop, and then you'll get that schedule. And then up here in the Mesquite room, if you want to share with parents, and on the agenda, I believe it says that the afternoon event is upstairs in the community room in the Mesquite building. It's Mesquite 200. Okay. So for the personal finance case study, you don't know what time your kids will be assigned, but this is this is what it looks like, is we have, the students will report, this is actually the critical thinking. I apologize because they have prep time. So let's just change that right here. So for the economics critical thinking, the students have 30 minutes of prep time, and you guys that are in that competition know that. So this is what the time looks like. But we ask you to check in at 8:45. So you might have some teams that have to report right at 9, and they'll have 30 minutes to prep. They will have a room manager keeping track of that time and monitoring their prep. Teachers cannot be in the preparation room or the presentation room. And so it is in the Palo Verde room. I'm sorry, we have 2 competitions. I don't mean to be confusing. So that we have room monitors and we have volunteers that will make sure the kids are going to the right room and that they are checking, the team members have all checked in at the report time. As long as one team member checks in and it is that time starts. So if someone's gone to the bathroom or they are getting a parent to drop them off late and that they have been assigned this time, the rules are that if at least one team member is there, they begin that preparation time. So these are our high school teachers that are in the econ critical thinking, okay? Questions? And I sent you, and I'm going to come back to the rules of the competition in just a little bit so that we are kind of going over general for everybody. So this is personal finance. These got mixed. So this is the personal finance case study for those of you high school and middle school that are in this. These are the rounds. There is no prep time. Students are using the same case study that they did in the qualifying round. They can change their presentations. They're encouraged to, take any feedback they might have been given, to get, some coaching from you or from people that you are having help you. The student, it has to be a student presentation, but it can be modified from the qualifying round. So their first report time is 8:55. So again, if that's your team, 8:45 is pretty important, that your kids know that they should be ready as soon as they check in with me to go to their report time. And this 4 rounds of competition here concluded 11:05. Questions about time for the competition rounds and how that works? So if the teams that are competing here, they're going to have, a little time while their classmates or their other teams or other schools are competing. And we have some activities around the campus that, to keep them kind of occupied and entertained. So I'm going to go back to that schedule real quick. So the rounds of competition are 9 to 11:05 for economics critical thinking, 9 to 11:30 for personal finance, but your team will be given their specific report time. Any questions? Okay. Well, so make sure I'm not seeing one in the chat. Yeah.
Kathy, you might be addressing this later, but the specific rules for the critical thinking challenge, were you going to talk about those later?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I've
cool.
talked about those. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Please keep them coming. No, in the presentation room, that's a great question in the chat. Nobody's allowed in the presentation room except the team and the judges. Other teams cannot watch them. It might be an unfair advantage if someone goes early and the team's like, I didn't think of that, or I'm going to add that, right? So the goal is to have it be as fair and equitable as possible, and make sure everybody has the same advantages or whatever. So nobody is in the presentation room or the prep room, but our volunteers, the judges, and the students. Okay. Any other questions right now? Okay. So, again, I'm going to just say this part pretty quickly. This is for students. You can imagine how many trainings we have. This is the day of for students. Teams check in at 8:45. With your teacher, they're going to report to the team check-in table, turn in those student thank you cards, pick up your competition schedule and the student materials. You will then help them to get to the right place by the right time. So AC does not have volunteers helping them until they get to the check-in room. So that's really why it's important to have an adult with them, kind of keeping everybody, arrive a few minutes early. They don't need to come right at the time. Arrive a few minutes early, and so that's really what we ask the team, the teachers, coaches, whatever your role is. As long as one team member is present, the team will be checked in and will be competing. and lunch is served from 11 to 11:45, and the afternoon awards begin at 12. Questions? Okay, so your next steps for everybody are to, I've already sent you your who's qualified, and if you've confirmed spelling and grade levels and of the team members. If you're not sure you have, please email me or let me know and I can send you again. We want to make sure that it's as accurate as we can be, specifically their grade level and the spelling of their name, especially if they're in the quiz bowl. We are asking for team photos, and I'm going to tell you why we're doing that. We are putting, for every judges folder, we're going to do something like this. So this is a team from COFA. The judges will have a photo with the team members' names, and we would like to make sure that you submit a picture of your team. So if you have not submitted a team photo, please do, if you can, by tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And then the competition rules, make sure you have reviewed the competition rules, and we're going to talk about each of those in a minute. And communicate the travel information with your parents and administrators so that if there's anything possibility that a student is not going to attend, we know now. So that less confusion for us the day of, we're not waiting for students and that kind of thing. So if you think you're going to have some parents attend the afternoon, please let us know so that we can make sure we have the space. We have over 130 students. And so, and then we have judges but parents, if you're gonna have a few parents attend, let us know and we will make sure we can accommodate them. There's not a lot of reason other than chaperoning for parents to attend in the morning. They're welcome, but they can't watch the presentations. Okay, any questions about logistics or next steps? Okay, so my next part is for the personal finance case study only. So if your students are only doing personal finance case study, the rules continue to be the same as the first round. So that's the same case study. It is the same length of time, 15 minutes. Students will have, they're responsible for their own computer. If they have any sort of, we recommend that it's downloaded to their computer because it's already their presentation. If they have any issues, that their 15 minutes just is accommodated by that tech issue as well. There's not a pause of the timer for any tech issues. And we will announce the personal finance case study itself winner in the high school division and the middle school division are first place winners that will share a $500 prize. So we announce those during the afternoon. Okay, and their scores from the qualifying round do not carry over. This is a fresh score. Any questions for teams just doing personal finance case study?
Got one for you, Kathy.
Got it.
Will they be projecting their PowerPoint or will they just hold a computer?
A great question. So for the personal finance case study, there will be they will just from the screen. So they will be at a judge's table, and because there's more than one team in the room, we've just had them separated across parts of the room. So they will be presenting to a panel of judges. So they can hold their computer, they can set it on the table for the judges, but it won't be projected. Good question. Anybody else? Same rubric, same case study. So for the personal finance quiz, well, economics critical thinking has some more rules, so I don't want to keep anybody that doesn't need to. For the personal finance quiz bowl, these are our teams that are in the personal finance quiz bowl. We have two teams that are brand new to this, Arizona College and ASU Prep Digital, and two teams from Hamilton, and those are the high school teams, and then 4 different teams from the middle school. So that is for the personal finance quiz bowl. So let me talk about quiz bowl, and this applies to both. Greg, did you have another question? Your hand's raised. Okay, this is quiz bowl for both competitions. 4 teams, so that's different than last year where it was 2 teams. And in the past, we had buzzers. We are not using a buzzer system anymore. It is like the national, and that I sent you rules. Every team will have a whiteboard, and they will choose a team spokesman. And the question will be read. So for example, a question might be something like, name 2 of the credit reporting agencies, and they will have 20 seconds to write the answer on their whiteboard. Please practice this with your kids and let them know they only have 20 seconds. It doesn't need to be complete sentences. It doesn't need to be correctly spelled. but it needs to express the answer, right? So let's say it's the answer is interest rates go up. They could say interest rates and an up arrow. The accuracy is important, but we know it's 20 seconds. Then this is how it's done at nationals. And I'm going to give you a link if you want them to watch the national example from last year. So the kids, and the questions for the middle school are middle school level knowledge. The questions for the high school are high school level knowledge. So it might be a question, you know, for example, what is the cost that you pay when you borrow money? And the answer is interest. They just put interest. They don't need to write complete sentences. 20 seconds. If all teams are done before 20 seconds, the judges will say tiles up. If 20 seconds buzzer goes, they will say markers down, tiles up. All the teams have to hold their tiles up at the same time. So the teams do not hold their tile up until they're done. And that's in the quiz bowl, but then they hold them. If they finish their answer, they keep it down. So no team sees them. Judges say tiles up. Each team, the spokesperson, says the answer. If the answer they say is different than what they wrote on the board, what they wrote on the board is the answer. Does that make sense? It's really exciting, but because it's 20 seconds, so you know if it's a question about demand, right, and it's a question of you know, what is one tool the Federal Reserve can use to stabilize the economy? They do not need full sentences. But they do need to write that answer down, and there's no expanding on their answer when they verbally say their answer. There is no explanation. So they want to, and we've written the questions with that in mind, that it is possible in 20 seconds to write an answer on a whiteboard that doesn't need an analytical answer. Questions? I'll talk about scoring, but that's for both quiz bowls, right? So every team could get a correct answer, they get 1 point. So every team could potentially get that answer correct, but the judges will determine. And so there's 15 questions. If we have a tie, we have 3 tiebreaker questions. If we still have a tie, all these teams made it to the quiz bowl because of their online test scores. If we still have a tie, the team with the highest online test score is the winner. And you will not know those test scores for the other teams. You only know yours. Questions? You sure? Okay, so personal finance competitors, that's really the information for you guys, the schedule, the case study rules, the quiz bowl information. Additional information you're going to receive on the day of course, is your specific competition schedule, the student activities for the day, and if you are, yeah, those are for personal finance. There's more information I'll give at the econ critical thinking right now. But yes, Greg, go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I'm going to ask you this now so I don't have to email you later, because my kids will ask me this.
I know.
So they're convinced that it's going to come down to the MCQ score that wins, of course, because everyone up there is going to get every one of them right in their minds. So when they look at the highest MCQ scores, do they still just take the top 3?
Okay. Greg's, yeah, go ahead. Is that?
And then at the top 3, if there's a tie in the top 3, then they default to the 4th one?
Okay, great question. So Greg's question is referring to, for those of you that are new, and I can show you the economics critical thinking too. So these 4 teams at the high school level in both competitions, somebody moves on to nationals. So there's higher stakes, but middle school, same thing. They want to be the winners. So in personal finance, let's say there is a 4-way tie or a 2-way tie. Then I know their test scores, and I will look at their test scores and will determine if there's still a tie. Greg, the answer is the time, how long it took them to take the test. Not the 4th score is not used. That's a national rule if there was 4 team members, because not every team has 4 members. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, not every team has 4 members. Am I sharing my screen right now?
So it's how long it took them to take it. Okay.
Yeah, am I sharing my screen right now? I didn't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so. Yes. So
is that a possibility this year?
is Greg
Can you
likes to
disclose
ask a
or
lot
not?
of detailed
I'm
questions.
gonna ask. You don't have
I'm
to
gonna
tell
tell
me,
I'll
but
talk about the econ one in a minute. For personal finance,
okay.
it's not likely. I'll talk about the econ one in a minute.
Okay.
But again, and again, this is primarily high school, but yeah, I mean, there's tight scores. You guys all have very talented teams, and they were invited because of their test score. So for personal finance, for example, I mean, these are the top four scoring teams out of all the teams that took personal finance test. So if there's a four-way tie, whatever one of these four teams had the highest score on the personal finance test would be the winner. If there is a tie, whatever team had the faster time. Good question. Other questions from personal finance folks? Okay, I'm going to move into econ critical thinking, and I will share my screen again. But if you're doing personal finance, you're welcome to stay and hear this part. But if you have any questions for me, please, you guys have my cell phone number, text me or email me. But we are very excited to see all of you guys next Friday. So for economics, critical thinking, let me talk about the rules, because again, we're trying to align with the national. So the students that can create a PowerPoint presentation, where in the past we've had them do it on paper, they had a whiteboard. At nationals, they allow the students, if they want, they don't know that this case study, right? It's a brand new case study, but they know kind of what format, right, they want to take. I'm sure they've thought about the structure that they need to do. So they need their own devices. We will not provide devices. They need to make sure that it's power, whatever. They can use Google Slide if they want to have a collaborative presentation. Now, we have a room monitor, one for each team, that is closely watching the teams to ensure equity, and that all they have on their computer, only tab they have open is Google Slide. They should not have any other programs open. They should not have any other tabs open. So the room monitor will tell them open Google Slide if they're going to do that. And they should not, it should be a blank Google Slide when the time starts for the economics critical thinking preparation. They will have the case study when they move to the prep room, right? They have 30 minutes. So they'll have the case study and they'll have 30 minutes to prepare their presentation. When they move to the presentation room, it's one computer. So the students will, decide if they are collaborating, who's going to be presenting it to the judges. And same situation as I said to Greg, it's a table, so they either can hold it or put it on the end of the table and do that presentation. They're not projecting. And this is very similar to how we do it at nationals. There is a room manager in the presentation room timing them, no more than 10 minutes. And then it's followed by 5 minutes of Q&A. So that's the gist. If a room manager feels that the team is violating those guidelines, they'll be disqualified in the preparation room. And we're leaving it up to the room manager. They are teachers, they are industry professionals, they're not college students, they're people that know what they're supposed to be working. It wasn't a problem at nationals. It's really exciting that they were able to use that sort of collaborative, but please just make sure the kids know that if they want to do that, so they cannot have slides ready to go, they can't have graphs ready to go, they can't Google a supply and demand graph. So that's something they could use paper and a Google Slide. So if they want to use Google Slide and then they want to draw, market graph or cost curve graph, because it's easier to draw than to put, if that's what they're going to use. They certainly could do paper, whiteboard, and a Google presentation. Does that answer the questions for?
Kathy, did you say that we'll have access to a whiteboard? Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
They will have whiteboards in the preparation room, as well as unlined paper. Greg? All right, so I'm sending you guys again the finals rules. So just a little different than the Zoom, right? But that's something that they can do. So for the critical thinking quiz bowls, I'll share my screen. I can share with you who is in those quiz bowls. This again came from the top scoring teams in the online test. So you can also check here, right? Adam Smith, these are students that are in advanced placement economics and were the top scoring teams on the online test. The David Ricardo, students that are in econ, top scoring teams. And then middle school, Mountain Sky, we love to have the middle school division. We want them eventually to go on to the high school division. And we did not have, Mountain Sky was the only school this spring. So we are inviting the top 4 teams and gonna give them some experience at being in the Quiz Bowl. So same idea, whiteboard, 20 seconds, hold the whiteboard up and judges will determine. So to answer Greg's, the question from personal finance, this is very tight. I will tell for the high school divisions, their scores will matter. So they want to prep, right? I'm so excited to see who moves on, because from the Adam Smith division and the David Ricardo division, the state champion. So there'll be a winner in critical thinking. Whoever has the highest score there is the team winner. They share $500, right? The Quiz Bowl winner is a winner of the Quiz Bowls. They also will share $500. The state champion to move on to the nationals is the team at that Adam Smith and David Ricardo with the highest combined score of their critical thinking from the finals. Not the qualifying round, does not matter. Their online test score and their Quiz Bowl score. If there is a tie, then we again, like if there's a tie, if there's a winner, the winner of the Quiz Bowl gets an additional bonus. So if there is a tie for the Quiz Bowl, then it's the same thing. It's their test score and then the time it took them to take the test. Does that help? It's gonna be very exciting. So for the finals, and this is the last part I have is just talking about the national finals. So middle school teachers, and if you're only doing personal finance, you welcome to stay, but at least I would love for you to stay too for a minute. This next part is really just about high school teams that might have the opportunity to move on to the national finals. So any questions from anybody else before I talk about that? Yes, Shannon, can't wait to see you. Very exciting.
So,
Okay.
sorry, I think you
Yeah.
might have said it. I was trying to take it all in. So the teams doing the critical thinking, they can win critical thinking, but that's it. They don't. There's nothing after that for them potentially.
Unless they're in the Quiz Bowl, then it is unless they have, likely, because that means their test score wasn't quite high enough to place them in the Quiz Bowl. But they certainly could win that critical thinking and be the champions there. And the first place champions receive a school banner, as well as the cash prize and of course the honor of winning that competition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Greg.
I'm sorry, I probably still have my hand up. I don't have anything.
Okay, so if your team, so those of you that have the potential in the personal finance high school division or the economics high school division, we will know that day who our qualifier is for the nationals. And they want me to submit that name like tomorrow. So I wanted to let you guys know that if that is your team, we will have not more than 24 hours to get the kids to fill out this Google form that gives the information for nationals. And so I'll send it to you so you can see what it looks like, what kind of information that you'll need for them. Greg's team was qualified last year for Adam Smith. So for econ, if you're the qualifying high school team, the first round is a virtual test, right? So you take it, it's supervised, proctored by the teacher. The week of April 22nd to the following week. It happens pretty fast. So if your team is qualified in either Adam Smith or David Ricardo, you will pick a day during the week of April 22nd that you'll proctor that online test for your students in economics. And then if they are one of the top scoring teams, and it varies, sometimes they bring 16, sometimes they bring 12. It's really up to the nationals, and they haven't announced that. If your team is one of the top scoring teams, they are invited to New York City, which this year is June 1st and 2nd. So it's flopped from in the past, it's been in May. If your team makes it to the finals and you're the state qualifying team, they are June 1st and 2nd, and their lodging and their food is paid for. And ACEE provides $1,000 to help with travel. So that we would know next Friday if your team is the state champion and moves on. It's June 1st and 2nd. We fill out we get the information submitted to nationals, and your kids take the test during the week of the 22nd. And if they qualify, then it's June 1st and 2nd. Questions? We had a team qualify last year and went to nationals and placed 4th in the nation. It was awesome. That's an Adam Smith and David Ricardo. Personal finance. So if your team qualifies for the personal finance finals, same thing. I have to submit the name to nationals right away. Their test is they're also the following week, and their nationals is May 18th. So it's sooner. It's May 18th, which is I know graduations are often in that week. So the competition day starts actually that Sunday, the 19th. So 18th is like a travel day. So if your team is our state champion and qualifies for the nationals, then they would be invited to go to Cleveland, Ohio, at the Cleveland Fed, and their lodging and their food is paid for, and ACEE pays $1,000 to help with their travel. And we would know that also next Friday. There's a lot of information. That's really the information. I can stop there. If you have any questions or you'd like me to send anything to you in an email, I certainly can. So what questions? We have some things in the chat. I will stop and just talk with you guys. Okay, so let's see. Thank you. Or if anybody else has questions.
I do have one here. My kids asked this. I did not think of this. They were wondering.
All these kids are in love. They're so excited.
they're like,
they keep
so
you on your toes,
man. They would like to know, are they in the Quiz Bowl competition? Are they